Time is your most precious resource. Do not waste it. Now, this is so important because when you are a busy professional, you might be running your own business, you might be in a corporate role and with a team, or just have a busy life in general. Time can just disappear. And certainly when I was growing up, I remember my mum saying to me, it goes by in a flash. And I used to think, oh my God, that's what old people say. But here I am, in my 50s, having spent 30 plus years in business. And it is so true. So not only does time seem to speed up, but actually, when we're conscious about our time, we actually realize that it's perishable, right? And sometimes we can waste time without actually realizing that we're doing it. So this is a topic which I actually focus a lot on when I work one-to-one with someone from a business mentoring point of view, or equally when we work with teams and we're looking at performance, So if you find that maybe time is disappearing and you don't feel you're being as effective as you really should be, then there's a number of different tools that I'm going to share with you that's going to really help you. Now, I like simple things that work. We don't want to overcomplicate things. I think in business, we overcomplicate things a lot of the time. So let's keep it simple. And why is it important? Well, as I say, it's important because there are only 24 hours in a day. You are only one person. And no matter how fantastic you are at what you do, your time is incredibly precious. But we can sometimes find that our time gets sort of sucked up. And often that can be by other people's agenda, or it just might be that we're not great at saying no. Certainly I've had times in my career, in my life where, I've been a bit of a people pleaser. And that means that very often I have stretched myself far too thinly. And as a result of that, I've not been able to really deliver to the standard that I, would like to do, or that I get super stressed about things because I've overcommitted. So time is really, really important. How you spend it, who you spend it with, and actually, what are you prioritizing? Because time is not unlimited. Now, if you are not subscribed to Brave, Bold, Brilliant, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button because that is when you are going to get notified every time that we go live with a new video. But you might prefer audio. You could be listening to this on the podcast, or maybe you're watching a little clip on social media. If you're not actually already subscribed to the podcast, it could be on Apple Podcasts, it might be on Spotify. Again, hit subscribe and let's make sure we're connected because at Brave, Bold, Brilliant, it is all about building a community of business leaders who are all here to support each other with our growth journey. And as I say, I've spent 30 plus years in business, both as a corporate CEO running very large global international businesses, but also as an entrepreneur and as a portfolio business owner myself. So, I see this from very different angles throughout those 30 years. And today we're lucky to advise some of the biggest brands in the world, but we also work with small and mid-sized enterprises that are looking to scale up and are really wanting impact in their business journey. So I say that because context is important, because you might be listening to this thinking, well, what do you know, Jeanette? You just used to being in the corporate world. Or what do you know, Jeanette? You're just a podcaster. Well, I'm not saying any of this to brag, because I am, I've made lots of mistakes and I've certainly, learned through those failings as well. But at the end of the day, I'm passionate about business. I'm passionate about people. And that's really why we do everything we do at Brave, Bold, Brilliant, is to help you, to help your teams and your business step up to that next level of growth. So grab a pen and paper, grab a cup of tea and a ginger nut and sit down and have a good old listen to this, because this is going to help you. Now, you might be saying, well, Jeanette, you're talking about time. I haven't got time to listen to this. Well, actually, if you're saying that, that's exactly why you do need to spend some time with me on this really important topic. So what I am going to do now, I'm going to take you through a very simple model, which is all about how you manage your time. And it's a really simple matrix. Okay. So when we look at a use of time, what we need to be doing is we need to be dividing our activities into 4 different categories. Okay, so imagine a 4-box matrix. And on that matrix, along the vertical axis, we actually have what is important at the top and what's not important in the bottom. And then across the horizontal axis, we have what's urgent in the bottom left and what's not urgent in the top right. Now, I'm going to take you through each of those 4 quadrants because they actually categorize different types of activity and how you are spending your time. Now, more than this, as well as this episode, I want to make sure that you're walking away from listening to this with a model that you can actually implement. So in addition to the video or the audio that you're listening to here, we're going to give you a free time management guide. All right. This exact template that I'm taking you through now, we are going to give you that. But also, in addition to that, we're going to give you a template that allows you to map out your own time management matrix. Okay. So we want you to have impact. We want you to take action because, as we say, time is precious. So let's not waste it. So we have done the hard work for you so that all you need to then do is actually spend a little bit of your own time reflecting on this so that then you are able to make some clear decisions and come back supercharged and super efficient with your time. Okay, so we have 4 boxes. Okay, I'm going to go through each one in turn. So the bottom left box is where we have things that are urgent, but they are not important. All right. Now, this can often be, sometimes it could be other people's agenda. All right. There's a sense of urgency around it, but it might not be urgent to you. It might be urgent to other people because it's not that important to you. So what you need to be thinking about in this matrix, this could be certain meetings that you may get dragged into. There could be certain phone calls, certain emails, etc., that you find that you're really being asked to input into. So here you want to really be asking yourself, if it's urgent but it's not so important, who could I delegate this to? And we're going to talk about the 4Ds as well, which is a very simple model as to how you can make sure you're cutting out certain things that aren't serving you. So that's the bottom left matrix. Then if we take the top left, these are tasks which are urgent and important. All right. Now, you have to spend time on these, clearly. This could be that you need to make decisions in your business. It could be there's an operational situation that requires attention. If you work in a global business, it could be that there's some form of macroeconomic event, or there could be a war that's going on that's affecting your business directly. It's urgent and it's highly important. So you need to make sure in that top left box, you have got time to deal with those things. All right. Then we have the box on the bottom right. Okay, so the bottom right-hand box, these are tasks that are not urgent and they're not important. Okay, so it sounds pretty obvious. You don't want to be spending time on things that are not urgent and not important, but somehow we tend to find that we do. This could be scrolling through social media. It could be that you're getting, CC'd on loads of different emails, whatever it might be, but it's stuff that's not important, it's not urgent, but it's sapping your time and it's also sapping your energy mind. So we've got to cut that out. We've got to drop that activity completely from our busy days. But now let's go to the top right-hand box. Okay, so the top right-hand box, top corner there, that quadrant, this is work which is highly important, but not urgent. Now, from my 30 years in business, this is the quadrant that gets neglected. And it gets neglected because it is not urgent. So there isn't a deadline necessarily. There isn't a pressing decision that needs to be made right now. But these are things like your strategy, maybe writing your business plan. It could be connecting and networking with really important people. It's going to take time to build a relationship. But once you actually have that relationship, that could then turn into a real great business opportunity. Now, as I say, this is the stuff that people often neglect. And they often neglect it when they are busy people. I hear it all the time. I'm too busy. Well, actually, are you busy in the right areas? Are you spending your time and focus on the right things? So, as I say, the top of the quadrant is important. Top left, it's important and it's urgent. Obviously, that needs your time and attention. Top right, it's important, but it's not urgent. Strategic stuff, things that are going to actually build your business, your career, not today, but in the future. And if you never pay attention to any of that and you find you're just very much stuck in the day to day, you will not be building your career or your business for the future. So you have to be able to allocate some time to that. The bottom right, remember, not important, not urgent. You want to cut that out as much as possible. And then the bottom left, stuff that's urgent, but it's not necessarily super important. Who can you delegate that to? So this really simple matrix. So the first thing you're going to do when you actually download those free resources that I've just shared with you, and there will be a link in an instruction how you get access to that. The team will make sure that's fully available to you. So what you are going to do, you are going to write down all the types of activities which fall within those 4 quadrants. All right. So clear some headspace for yourself, take yourself away from the day to day and spend some time on this. And then think about what % of your average day, your average week, maybe your average month are you spending in each of those 4 areas? And be honest. The easiest person to lie to is yourself, right? So be honest and actually note down what % of time you're spending. And then really ask yourself, what % of time do you think you should be spending? All right. But as the great Tony Robbins says, shoulds don't really count. It's only when you turn your shoulds into musts is when you take action, right? So what % of time must you be spending in order to progress your business, your career, whatever it may be, your relationships even, right? And then once you've done that, you are able then to say, okay, interesting. What's this telling me? What specific actions do I therefore need to take in order to be able to create your new time management matrix? All right. So super simple, highly effective. This will transform where you spend your time. And then the one last tool I'm going to share with you on time management as well is, we have to-do lists, don't we? Long to-do lists. Anyone ever put things on their to-do list when they've actually nearly done it already, but then they can cross it off and make themselves feel good that they've crossed something off their to-do list? I know I've been guilty of that in the past. It sounds completely bonkers, doesn't it? But actually, what you don't want a to-do list. Actually, what you really want is a 4D list, because when you have a big long list of all the things that you're supposed to do, the first thing you should be doing is, what am I going to ditch? What is really not important? And this is aligned with those 4 matrices, that 4-box matrix as well. So what are you going to ditch? What are you going to delegate? Because if you've got a team, fantastic, you can delegate key activities to them. If you don't have a team, you might have an opportunity to actually maybe delegate activities by using an outsource solution, for example, right? So there's always different ways that you can get resources, even if you don't have big budgets to actually employ people or to have people working with you. So what are you going to ditch? What are you going to delegate? What are you going to delay? Remember, we want to focus on the priorities. You might have things going on that would be nice to do, but really you just haven't got the capacity to do it right now. So what are you going to delay and maybe move to a later, more realistic time frame? And then the last should be, what are you going to do? And remember, you want to be in those top 2 boxes on that 4-box matrix. So listen, I know it sounds really simple. Time, just disappears and we want to make the most of it, but it is so true. It is your biggest resource. So use it wisely and just remember, actually, you've only got one life. You've only got one life. You've only got one opportunity to make a difference in this world. So don't waste it. Don't waste it. Don't look back with any regrets and think, oh, I wasted time. I wasted time on certain activities, or I wasted time with certain people. So again, really be ruthless. Be ruthless with your calendar. Really challenge yourself and put your effort and your hard-earned time into the right things. So as I say, I hope you've enjoyed this conversation that we've had here. I'd love to hear from you. If you're struggling with, some of this area of time management and being efficient, drop us a comment, send me an email, send me a DM. We're always really happy to help. And remember, we're giving you that free resource, okay? So we're giving you the full time management guide and also all the templates that you're going to need that you can implement straight away, because I want the best for you. At Brave, Bold, Brilliant, we're all about supporting each other and our community to step up to that next level of growth. So if you're not following us on social media, please let's get connected. You'll find Jeanette, 2 N's and 2 T's everywhere. Brave, Bold, Brilliant. We have our pages, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, you name it. Let's get connected. And as I say, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button for YouTube, for Apple Podcasts, for Spotify. Let's make this time count. And remember, you only have one life, but it is by being brave and bold that you're going to unlock your brilliant.